Thank you very much, distinguished guests, MEPs, and dear Madam President-elected Mariam Rajavi. My name is Neda Amani. I'm an Iranian human rights activist from Switzerland, and it's an honor for me today to speak before you and share my experiences and dedications to advocating for the youth, especially for the Iranian girls and women in Iran. As the daughter of a former political prisoner whose body still shows the scars of the atrocities committed by the Iranian regime, I've been confronted with the challenges and dangers faced by people in my homeland from a very young age. As announced, I'm also a football goalkeeper coach and address the everyday discriminations and challenges that young women in Iran face in sports on a daily basis. However, today I'd like to talk about a different topic that I've been asked so many times by many of the hundreds of politicians I've had the privilege to meet over the years. What is the solution or the alternative to this regime? How can we help the girls and the women in Iran? So to answer these questions, I'd like to give you first an understanding why resistance is so important for the girls and women in Iran. So why resist? Bertolt Brecht, an influential German writer, once said, "When injustice becomes justice, resistance becomes a duty." So first of all, we should all understand the environment in which Iranian girls and women live. They are not only subjected to everyday discriminations or domestic violence, but are also legally disadvantaged and confronted with a regime that denies and suppresses women in their fundamental existence. And also understand that this struggle of the Iranian women for their rights did not just begin with the theocracy, but is a roughly 120-year-old struggle against the monarchy, patriarchy, and the misogynistic mullahs. So therefore, the only way out for women in Iran, if they want to be heard and seen, is through active resistance. However, to truly understand Iranian women, it's urgently necessary to listen to them. For years, they've been communicating with us in various ways, whether it's Mariam Akbari Monfared with her letters from prison, who has been imprisoned for over 15 years now without one day of leave, simply because seeking justice for her brother's deaths after the 1988 massacre. Or Zeynep Jalalian, a Kurdish political prisoner who has also been behind bars for just as long. Or more prevalent and current, the girls and women from the resistance units who are at high risk of being arrested daily because they write "Women Resistance Freedom" on walls and hang posters on the streets. These girls and women now know that they must pay the highest price for freedom so that others don't have to suffer the same fate. And it's exactly these individuals who should be at the forefront of every politician's mind when it comes to the topic of Iran. Now, what can MEPs do in this case? Firstly, it's important to guarantee the self-defense right of Iranians according to Article 51 of the UN Charter, which states that everyone has the right to defend themselves when disproportionate violence, as seen in all previous uprisings, is used. It should be clear to everyone that this regime will do everything in its power and will continue to do so to discredit and defame the genuine Iranian resistance and alternatives. Therefore, it's even more important to support democratic forces as well as the NCRI and President-elected Mariam Rajavi with their 10-point plan. So going back to the quote of Bertolt Brecht, it's not only the duty of the Iranian girls and women to resist, but rather for us to acknowledge the Iranian resistance. Thank you very much for having me.